I do not resist your call for an alternative. I think it's a brilliant submission.
Yes.
And to a large extent, I think it makes a lot of sense. But you see, Bernard, let us not forget the fact that the government of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo and the people managing the economy drove us here. What are the reasons why I'm saying this? First of all, this government came to power on the back of in excess of 1 million votes and goodwill to deliver on the promise it made to the people of Ghana.
That's the first one.
That's the first
2017.
2017. And I remember interviewing Mr. Kenoforiata on point blank on Eyewitness News. Made very fantastic and brilliant submissions about how he intends, if the MPP government comes to power, to superintend over transforming the economic fortunes of our country, making deepening taxes within the system, not increasing taxes on people, as a key cornerstone of his agenda or the agenda of the MPP. That interview is there. I'm sure at some point it can be played back. Fantastic ideas as to how to be done. Now, when they came to power, expectations were high that the people know what they are doing, because Nana Addo has been at the forefront of what?
All kinds of things.
All kinds of things for well over 40, 50 years, if my memory serves me correctly. So there was goodwill that you will come and change things. What were some of the first things that they did? The first thing he did was to announce in excess of 100 people to serve in government. Now, when you made that announcement, many people were critical of it, including those of us here in the studios of Citi FM. We took the view that, look, you don't need this much to be able to run an efficient Ghana. The response that we got and the pushback we got was that
We are in a hurry.
we are in a hurry.
And there's a lot of work.
There's a lot of work. The job that will be delivered requires these numbers. And that we shouldn't be critical. Let us judge you after you have done your bit for Ghana. The next thing we saw was what? Let's intervene in the area of the financial sector. We are well aware that indeed a lot of mess had been done by the previous administrations regarding the financial sector. Licenses were issued left, right, and center without any proper supervision. People were doing their own thing with people's investments. We saw all kinds of dodgy financial sector institutions emerge in the Bono Hafo region. We know of what happened with people's... all of those things happened. And then you said that, look, you needed to clean this up if you were to preserve the integrity of the financial sector.
20 billion.
In excess of 21 billion Ghana cedis was used to provide a cure, which we were told was bigger, far bigger than the cost of the problem.
Forgive.
But, people didn't raise it. As we speak, there has not been any proper accountability.
Yeah. Has Parliament reviewed that thing?
I don't even know what has become of that.
But Parliament was supposed to have a committee to review
Exactly. There has not been any proper post-mortem accountability as to how in excess of 21 billion Ghana cedis came to be expended. People lost jobs, and as we speak, people haven't received many people haven't received their investments. So the financial sector took a major hit. People who had thought that they were going to make money by saving, because all along, everywhere you went, in fact, I remember as a young reporter attending press conferences, Bawedu, Safo Mafo, the encouragement was that Ghanaians were not saving, so let's deepen the culture of saving. Japan is what it is, Asia is what it is,
of savings.
because of the culture of saving. So let's stop saving under our beds
and go and put the money
in the bank.
Let your money work for you.
Exactly. So when this thing happened to the financial sector, people took a major hit. The MPP then in opposition promised that when we come back, we'll make sure that the people who are responsible for this, they will pay for it, we'll prosecute them, and we'll make sure that you collect your money. You came back, expended 21 billion. People are still in debt. People have done all kinds of things to themselves as a result of you failing to deal with their problems for you.
The court process is long.
So many people went home as a result of that. Job losses. As we speak, some people have never been able to recover from that.
Lots of them are home.
Exactly.
Some are looking for
so the expectation was that, okay, people had to move their money from these private sector funding, investment institutions, to government bonds. In some cases, to treasury bills. So that as for the government is a continuum. So government will buy all
Only
this
though
pay
they go pay.
willingly. It may take forever, but at some point,
They pay.
the government will pay. Then people, after 2, 3, 4 years, moving their resources from the private ends to government-led investment, you have come back to tell them that they are taking a haircut. First of all, let me trace the timeline for you. The first time this matter of haircut became public was when Ato Forson, the minority spokesperson on what do you call it, finance, said at the UPSA that they were picking up dangerous signals about the state of the economy, and that in the not too distant future there was going to be an announcement of haircut. John Mahama was to speak at that particular platform, and indeed he spoke.
Yeah, so Atu did the first.
Yeah, that's right. So John Mahama had a foray into that. Later, there was a firestorm of response from the MPP and its apparatchiks and the government that, look, there was nothing like that happening. They said that nothing like that was happening. They were dealing with the problems with the economy. It is not as bad as the minority had claimed. They will deal with the situation. And in fact, as recent as 3-4 weeks ago or so, the president himself spoke on this matter of haircuts, and created the impression that we wouldn't have haircuts. Again, the deputy minister in the office, the finance ministry, also had said something that turned out to be one that was disputed by the ministry in its own statement.
So they then came to say that the haircut now talks about principle.
Exactly.
And but to be fair, they've maintained that throughout, because even with the announcement, there's no principal haircut.
There's no principal.
That's okay.
Yes.
But the president's statement was definitive.
Said
It was the following day on this show that Kujo Nkrumah came to clarify.
So now,
Other than that, the president's statement
so now
was,
in Ghana, a haircut is principal.
yes, but I'm saying when the president spoke originally,
Yeah, but he said haircut. He didn't tell what type.
no. He
said
said there will be no haircut.
Charlie.
Yeah, but no, what else I'm saying that you should take your time.
Okay.
A haircut generally talks about a principal reduction. You get me? That's in fact, if to be fair, if you even go into the literature, when you read all these Jamaican things, when they use the term haircut, they are talking about the principal being chopped off. So I think it's consistent if you said, and I'm not saying the president didn't confuse us, but I said that it's consistent now where they say, for example, Akes is saying that if you look through the proposal, your principal will be paid in 2 equal installments or 3 equal installments, depending on which time you are receiving it back.
Okay.
So the main thrust of the exchange is the interest and the tenor. So that point has been made. But I think let's go.
Now, what is my point? My point is that when you came to office, there were specific expectations. You promised specific things. You will run this economy to the glory of God, because the people
the
who
battle
were in
was
charge
so
previously didn't know what they were doing. They were incompetent and they were not fit for purpose. In other words, they were not value for money. So let's throw them out.
And they said they would save the country.
Yes, they said that. Yet Tisikasu Yamin no gamin la gaji galeniate gake domyawu dowama enyawuge. Charlie, that was the expression. Economy egbele. You remember all of that.
Yeah.
Now you come in. The Constitution under Article 36 imposes a specific obligation. Let me read, with your permission, Article 36(1). It says that the state shall take all necessary action to ensure that the national economy is managed in such a manner as to maximize the rate of economic development and secure the maximum welfare, freedom and happiness of every citizen in Ghana,
You are wasting time.
and to provide adequate means of livelihood. No, Bernard, wait.
COVID. All these things you are saying is true, but COVID came.
No, please. Bernard, we'll come to COVID.
In Russia.
Wait.
What the whole thing?
That's the instruction.
COVID.
Now, you blew all kinds of funds belonging to the state on all manner of projects. You cannot tell me.
No, they are government flagships.
Wait, you can't. The reason the government flagship is annoying, first of all, is that you and I sat in this studio and we told this government
How do you know?
that the idea of implementing a free senior high school program to everybody without doing a means test, targeting people who actually need it, so that you take money from the rich and then ensure that the poor get what they deserve in order to move them up the ladder. They did not listen.
We will do it. And
in fact, when the economy was running into trouble, someone had suggested that the finance minister had said that there may be need to review.
No, I interviewed him and I sort of pushed him on the point about why should somebody like him or myself have their child have their school fees paid for by government. That cannot be right. And he agreed with me. But
that's what
after that, they unleashed people on him to finish him.
Exactly. See, that's the point.
They unleashed.
The man who was looking directly into the public purse had said that this thing did not make any economic sense.
Not in
Let's
as
do
many,
something.
not in as many ways.
That's okay. I mean, yes, that's fine. Yeah. You understand? But the people who were calling the shots took the view that let us not go with this. Now we are here. In the midst of all of this, I'm a Christian. Jesus Christ, forgive me.
Yes.
For some reason, we thought it was wise, despite all the problems that we have. The fact that we cannot even feed our children who are in school because we say that they should come to school compulsorily. Yeah. You decided to build a cathedral. I'm not against the idea of building a cathedral.
Yes. Build it to the glory of God.
That's okay. The expectation was that you were going to build it with non-funding from the state because you had said, and in fact, you had set up a committee that was to raise funds from private sources, from individuals, from people outside the country to build this. Some way, somehow, lack of proper planning and implementation led to the decision to what? To invest public funds into it.
It was the lack of consultation.
That's, you understand?
So the lack of consultation has appeared again.
Exactly.
If I is a front page graphic, build consensus on debt program.
That's right.
That's the thing.
So from the get-go, that project suffered a major public hit because people lost interest in this whole idea of building a cathedral. Let me give you another example.
But you are not talking about COVID and Russia.
No, I will come to that. You got up and said that one morning you were introducing e-levy. In this country.
That was the last card.
Yeah, in this country.
The last.
Because e-levy was the last card.
We have seen...
it was pitched against IMF.
Exactly.
I hope you not forgot.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Said that
it was either
he said we do e-levy
or we go IMF.
We've done e-levy. And not have we gone for IMF. Now we are doing local debt exchange.
Plus IMF. Plus e-levy. Without the threshold. Increase VAT to plus 2.5.
I'm going home.
You see?
I'm going home.
No.
I'm going home. Tie him in the neck. I'm going home.
You have to deal with this man.
What is this? Sit down and listen.
What did you do?
Oh.
You said to us that, look, the problems that the minority or the other critics in the financial sector were talking about, Charlie, it's not a Benny. Bryce Simmons, what do you call it? And the folks at Imani and your friend Ken Thompson.
Yeah, man.
All of them have said that, look, there were serious dangers they were seeing with the fundamentals of the economy and that they should be resolved. We were borrowing too much money. And in fact, the retort in opposition at the time was that if it is all about borrowing the country into a major debt, any
they said it's about borrowing and raising taxes. A dimwit can do it.
Can do it. You understand? But what have you done? You have brought us huge debt. You have brought us huge debt. And when the question was, how do you intend to deal with it? You say, oh, we will not go to the IMF.
Let me give you a quick example to verify. Okay. So between 2007, when we first went to Eurobond, and Eurobond are more expensive debts than concessional debts you take from Paris Club and all these your friendly countries. So Eurobond is very commercial type of debt. Between 2007, when we went to the first one, Baredu, Eurobond, to 2016 under Tekpe, we did 6 Eurobonds. Between
2007
and 2016, we did 6 Eurobonds. Right? 6 Eurobonds.
6 Eurobonds, okay.
Between 2017 and today, we've done 9.
9.
So between 2017
and 2022. So if you look at it, 2017 to 2022, how many years?
9 years.
No, 2017. No.
2007 to 2016 is 9 years.
Yes. We did 6 Eurobonds.
Yes.
And then 2017 to 2022.
So now it's 5 years.
So we did 6 Eurobonds in 9 years.
Yes.
And then 9 Eurobonds in 5.
9 Eurobonds. And you see,
9 Eurobonds.
I remember those days when I was on Highway.
And the size as well
huge.
is much bigger. So that in terms of the amount. is much. So we've moved. So if you take our debt portfolio, the commercial debts are more, and the more expensive debt, which is why you spend a large chunk of your tax revenues on just interest. Not even the principal. Not even yes. So it's just to give a sense of what you're saying that. And don't forget the first question I asked in that Meet the Press to Dr. Bami was about borrowing. And at the time, this was 2017, 2018. Yeah. Even the little we had seen with the euro, but that time they had done like only 2. But I was like, borrowing was such a major part of your criticism of the previous administration. So why are you borrowing so much? And even at the time, I think we got some of the calculations from where like, Charlie, what you are saying, Kra, is not really that much. But Charlie, in the next 5 years, 9 euro bonds. That is really serious.
And you see, anytime we raise questions about it as members of the media and experts raise questions, we were told that, it had been oversubscribed. It means that there was investor confidence in how we were managing the economy. Where are we now? Debt distress. We cannot pay for critical sectors and services within the economy. Road sector people are complaining that over the past 3-4 years, they have not been paid. Yeah. School feeding people are complaining that they don't even have money to provide food for our kids.
COVID.
Look, COVID hit the world. I agree. I was in the UK when it happened. We saw the kinds of investments that other countries made in their citizens when COVID hit. In fact, in other jurisdictions, including the UK and the US, resources were given directly to citizens, received checks. Payments were sent to them. You understand? Companies that were in serious distress as a result were given government funding to keep them afloat. You understand? There were people who were not doing anything, but they received support. What kind of investment was made in the Ghanaian, company? What kind of investment was made? We were given a few parcels of rice and stew, shared in cooked food. That was the best they did.